Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. On Wednesday, the European Union's executive arm, the Commission, accused Meta of failing to protect children from the risks of social media, underscoring growing concerns over platform responsibility. As regulators tighten the rules through age verification systems and proposals to limit anonymous accounts, the debate over safety, privacy, and control is intensifying. Now, to understand it all further, we're joined here in the studio by cybersecurity expert Igor Protasowicki from Vistula University. Good to have you back here. Welcome.
It's always nice to see you.
So, lots of digital things to weave through. Let's begin with the latest. I like this phrase from the digital governance minister out of Greece. The major problem behind anonymity is toxicity. Well, first of all, what do you say to that, and what about their plan? How feasible is it?
Oh, for years we used to consider the difference between the real world and anything that we do in the digital world, and we did not combine that, so that our brains tend to see us as completely anonymous people over the internet, and when we feel how anonymous we are, we can act completely differently than whatever we do in the real world. As you might notice, the amount of bullying versus cyberbullying attempts, even in high school, in primary schools, is completely different. When you meet someone live and when you express your emotions, when you express your feelings towards that person, you control your own emotions when it happens live. When it happens just with the use of your computer screen and your keyboard, some boundaries just break. You lose all your breaks, and the toxicity really spills out. And we used to consider Greece as the world's oldest democracy, the place where you could do almost everything you can, the place that took your rights to express really seriously, and now it's the world's first place that tries to control by completely cancelling anonymity over the internet. On one hand, from the psychological perspective, that's, I believe, right thing to do, especially in current reality, because...
But isn't anonymity, I mean, in some ways, the internet, the free flow of information, so yeah, that's kind of structured anonymity. Now, to tie it to identity, I mean, also, how do we balance that, and how feasible is it, technology-wise, to really implement such a system?
Yeah, it used to be like that, let's say, before COVID, because since 2019, we balanced our life almost evenly between online and offline reality. Majority of things you can do over the internet, including all the government stuff, including your insurance things, including your work, because look how many people visit you here using online means and measures of communication, how many appears here live. And this tendency shows us that both realities are equally important. So now this change in Greece's approach towards anonymity over the internet is something that would be considered wrong, and maybe probably even trying to limit our freedom and our liberty back, let's say, 10 years ago. And today it's something quite justified.
Yeah, but also in terms of, we're looking at a lot of this, and kind of ties in with my next question with what the European Union has done as well. Digital Services Act, we've talked about this before. Looking at different, can there be a simple approach to try and curtail this? Also, there's workarounds. If I'm thinking about children trying to maybe go around that verification, right, in terms of age, I mean, there are ways to do that. So again, enforcement, practically, how do we approach that?
Yes, as far as I remember, that was our conclusion, that as soon as new means and measures of protection are going to be implemented, there will be someone who will show us how to go besides that. Of course, we have to protect children, especially against those things connected to toxicity of the internet. That was the beginning of our conversation. But look at a majority of means and measures to control and verify the age of users is contained under terms of use in the particular platforms more than in current acts of law, because the law sets you the directions which you shall follow, but it's not that strict. What is strict is Meta's regulation that says that contents are not to be distributed to the people under the age of 13, as far as I remember. And current EU concern is about this age verification, that Meta does not follow its own regulations.
But also in terms of, if we're looking at enforcement, I mean, arguably you could say the European Union right now is very much trying to do that as much as possible. We see them often sparring with big tech, especially in recent months. So if we're looking at the latest now, especially what's come out with Meta, again, being accused by the Commission and through the DSA of not doing their job properly, they could face a massive fine, right? 6% of global output. So how is this placed? And I guess the wider question really is, who currently is winning right now? Is it big tech? Is it the regulators? Can there be a winner in this?
Probably the users, because they take most of the benefits of the free access to the platforms. The access control can be implemented, though. It was your previous question, but you see, it depends on the amount of privileges that users are able to pass to the platform operators. If you consent for your front camera to be used constantly, it will take a snapshot of your face every few seconds. It can take a 3D scan of your face alongside, depends on the technology that you're using, and to verify your age precisely. So even if someone gets the access to the platform, of course, without the proper age verification, or goes besides that age verification, it's going to take place more and more and more time continuously. And then this control, if it's properly implemented and exposed, can be used by Meta to secure its assets and as a line of defense. But it has to be implemented first.
Implementation, this is something, DSA was over 10 years in the making until it finally is where it is. The jury's still out how effective it's going to be in the next 10 years. But looking right now where we stand, are, let's say, these fines, are these deliberations, are these actions by the Commission, are they biting?
It all depends, because in vast majority of cases, if you have enough funds to protect your assets and to pay your lawyers, let's be honest, there's a high chance that you're going to avoid those sanctions. So even if you are threatened with 6-year global revenue, that must be stressed out, because we're not talking about the European market income only. If we're talking about global revenue, that's going to be millions of dollars. And if your lawyers are able to protect your interest, that might be safe. This fine can be reduced significantly only because you promise to implement some new means and measures for future purposes. In comparison to the smaller enterprise, smaller entrepreneurs are not that much able to protect themselves, and they are the ones who are fined the most, unfortunately.
There's one thing I want to come back to as well. There was an EU age verification demonstration, I believe it was, and apparently it was hacked just in minutes. So at this stage, how worried should we all be that we don't quite have the tools in place?
Well, again, as soon as somebody implements new means and measures, someone will take an effort to break it and to go besides it. Especially today, under current circumstances, we have language models, the LLMs that are able to verify the code from the first to the last character at once. So if we, the programmers, if we, the people, we are unable to find loopholes, problems, issues, zero-day bugs in the code, AI is going to do that for us just in a second, pointing out all the vulnerabilities that we can use against the system to work besides it.
Speaking of AI, let's go over to the US again, like we did in our previous conversation as well. AI, Elon Musk versus OpenAI, Sam Altman. I mean, this growing legal feud, what kind of impact is that going to have on the AI industry?
For now, it's not that easy to estimate, because we're talking about two large entrepreneurs, two large service vendors, actually, because Elon Musk has his own AI, and we're talking about Sam Altman, who stands besides OpenAI, which is the world's most recognizable LLM right now. Probably this entire thing is because those gentlemen communicate to each other. They are talking to each other on a daily basis. They exchange information that we don't even know. And if Sam Altman promised something to Elon and now is not going to keep those promises, Elon Musk might feel maybe neglected, maybe even betrayed by Sam Altman. And the latest news is that OpenAI prepares itself to enter the stock market. So that's a significant thing, because that was something that used to operate as NGO. And right now, when we're trying to see it as large enterprise that operates not for humanity's sake, but for profit, that changes the deal.
Yeah, that was my earlier question as well. We said regulator versus actual big tech. Here it's big business against each other. So what ultimately does that mean for the user?
Users are not going to probably even notice the difference, because those services are going to operate just the way they used to do before. Of course, including the recent updates and changes in the algorithms. But from the user perspective, they will still have their user accounts active. They will still pay the same fees for using those services and so on. The things that happen on the top, if it influences what happens in the business area, that's usually the worst case scenario. So probably Elon Musk and Sam Altman are going to take care so that their argument is not going to affect their business at all. All
right, so we'll see how that next battle turns out, and I think it's another one we'll tackle in the future. That was Igor Protasowicki, the cybersecurity expert at Vistula University. Thank you so much for coming by.
Always my pleasure.
Thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.